discuss the issue. Are there any atheists who don't lie when questioned? You can come up, you can agree or disagree. I would like for there to be at least even one atheist who will stand his ground and say they are an atheist who do not lie when questioned.
Darth, I have a question really quick because I was talking to Matt yesterday before, and he was explaining to me about concrete universal and abstract universal, and I was thinking concrete universal was like physical, like God, and then like the Christian God, and then abstract like universal. I thought it was like non-physical. But then,
Okay, so
as Matt
so
was, yeah.
uh, so if we talk about reality, okay, to what does the word reality refer to? Well, when sometimes people using it, they're referring it to the totality of all that exists.
Yeah, they would say serial.
Or I could just simply say all that exists, or the set of all real things.
Mm-hmm.
Other times they'll use the word reality to refer to a subset. Like, for example, if somebody says that the Eiffel Tower isn't there, or let's say the Eiffel Tower is made out of jello, somebody will respond and say, well, that doesn't square with reality. Now, they're not using the word reality there to mean the set of all real things. What they mean is that doesn't square with a subset of all that exists, namely that the Eiffel Tower it is there and it's composed of metal. Okay? So, when we talk about the word reality, this is a term that is a mental abstraction which attempts to collectivize in our mind so that we can digest it, thinking of a plurality of concrete, discrete things, two or more things that are concrete, as opposed to that it is an abstraction. Okay? So if I said to you, in the future, there will be flying cars, the
Mm-hmm.
future is an abstraction because it's not a concrete reality. Now, does that mean that the future will never come to pass? No, but it's still an abstraction, right? Or, for example, let's say when we talk about time, the way that we human beings invoke time is very much abstract. They say, well, what is time? What is it? So, if something is concrete, then it is something that is real and not simply an idea that we hold in our mind.
Because
Must be of some substance. So suppose we said
I like how you very articulate, Darth.
now
Um,
on the other hand,
I like how you devise concise questions because when they start saying reality, I'm starting to think they're saying a thing in the set of all real things, but that's it, and that's why they don't be informative. They just say reality, science or something, and then it's like,
yeah,
and that's why
they
it's
want to
hard for me.
throw out rhetoric, but then when I seek to unpack and decipher what they're saying, they realize that they know that they're boulder dashing, and so they boulder dash more,
Okay.
and they become they bicker and they become argumentative in order to hide the fact that they're not saying anything that is substantive. And this is what they do all the time. This is why the title of the room is Are There Any Atheists Who Don't Lie When Questioned? It's not that I'm saying they're lying because they're saying something that I categorically disagree with. I'm saying they're lying, meaning they are communicating back to me when I'm questioning them in terms of my biblical worldview vis a vis their worldview. And they're purposely, the gears in their head, so to speak, are churning about how they can evade transparently answering the
Oh my God.
question by boulder dashing.
See, I would even just if I was like talking to you, I'd be like, I'll be honest, it's like that. But see, and this is like you said, purposely and all this stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's just
this is what
taking
I've
up.
learned over 10 years
Wow.
dealing with these atheists on a daily
Oh
basis,
God.
okay? That they will be transparent as long as they the questions don't make them feel uncomfortable. But the questions that I ask are derived as a byproduct of what God has revealed about himself. And if anybody holds to a concept, an idea, or asserts anything that is contrary to what God has revealed about myself, then what I do is I devise a clear and a succinct question that is going to actually expose that what comes out of their mouth is make believe, which is they say they don't want to go by make believe. Okay? And this is why they troll. This is why they become belligerent or they become evasive because they don't want to answer the biblical
Honestly.
presuppositional questions. This is why we have such few atheists who will see the title of the room. They'll see that someone like myself, a biblical presuppositionalist, is here. Why we have such few atheists who will come up because they know that I will not tolerate them overtly being deceptive and invasive, and I'm going to demand and insist that they transparently answer the question, or they can take a long walk on a short pier.
Yeah, and I like, and that's the thing. They're not honest, or just like I'm not gonna pretend I'm be a
No, they're
scientist,
not.
science, and
Look, when I spoke with P.Z. Myers, who is a worldwide known atheist with a
mm,
PhD in biology,
interesting.
who is known for denying the existence of God, when I said to him, how is it, Dr. Myers, how is it that God doesn't exist? He immediately denied that he denies all gods, which was a lie. And then months later, on his own YouTube channel, he outright denies that any God exists. But when I talk with him, he said, oh, I'm not saying that there couldn't be a guiding intelligence. I'm just saying the gods that are present. You see, atheists don't mind about playing fast and
Seamless.
loose with what they say or believe.
And you know the
And you
arrogance
see,
too, Darth, is like,
the reason why so many atheists can't stand my guts is because I don't put up with their deception.
and I saw you with Red Fang yesterday on Praise Start, and I was like, this guy is so arrogant that
He was a
even the philosophers,
troll.
yeah,
Yeah.
it, the intellect is pale. The philosophers back then, the Red Fang's intellect fails and compares to the philosophers back then.
Red Fang
It's
and
like
the
the
other
arrogance.
person, yeah, Red Fang, who was on last night, and the other person whose name escaped me, both of them, they
I don't know.
started off like they were going to respond transparently. Hold on a second.
Oh yeah, it's Floyd.
But they both degenerated into being evasive and deceptive. By the way, if anyone wants to look at that, they can go on to the Praise I Am channel on YouTube
I,
where I was on there last night.
I just don't understand that these guys are so arrogant. It's like I'm so like I don't even know like compared to the philosophers back then and try to be like, oh, I know, I know. It's like it's the arrogance, and it's just when I saw that, Darth,
Well,
I was
look,
like,
they're shame. Look, they are shameless when they deploy their deceptive responses. Now, does that mean that every time they open up their mouth they're being deceptive? No.
no,
But they routinely resort to deceptive and evasive responses when they are hit with apologetic questions that expose the incoherency and bankruptcy of their atheistic ideology.
and I even comment, Darth. I put like I commented it that like they're trying to put their knowledge above God's knowledge, and then like and then they try to do it with philosophers that are way smarter than Red Fang, and it's just arrogance. The arrogance oozing. And it's like, man, this guy needs to look into the work. Like,
I think it's worse
oh,
than
oh,
arrogance. Okay,
oh,
what's worse is the purposeful deception.
Mm.
You know, when they start making universal declarations, I know, they know, and everyone who's listening knowing that they're lying. If you don't believe in God, then how in the world can you possibly come to know the universal you're invoking? How did you come across this? Have you been around forever?
Hmm.
Are you eternal? Are you omniscient? Did you come to know this universal through induction? Did you
Mm.
come to know it by pure reason? Did you develop it by just simply sense experience? Or did you come to know these universals that you invoke that putatively render God not necessary? Do you invoke these universals, whatever it is, to displace God by a combination of reason and sense perception? Which is it? And when I ask these kinds of questions, they know they're in deep doo doo, right?
Trouble.
But they don't want to admit to the bankruptcy of their position.
Yeah, how can you say that if you never seen everything and was all there at all times? Like, so how can you come with the object like from there trying to like yeah, it's
Look,
okay.
I have no compunctions to say that the majority of atheists that I have dealt with, do deal with, and probably will deal with rare exceptions, are going to deploy deceptive verbal communications to one degree or another. Because if they don't, and they transparently answer the apologetic questions that I have, the bankruptcy, the absurdity of their ideology, of their worldview, will be on full display. So rather than admit the obvious, they balderdash, they obfuscate, they prevaricate, they lie, they rabbit trail, they split hairs. Look, how many times have you heard me ask an atheist, after having established that we're going to use the standard definition of atheism as uh, depicted by the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, that atheism
Mm-hmm.
is, in general, there are no gods, and
Yes,
specifically that includes
Stanford.
that there is not a creator
Mm-hmm.
God. Okay? After we make it clear that this is the operational definition that we're using, and I say, are you an atheist? And they'll say, yes. And they'll say, how did you determine that there's no God? And then what they will do, they immediately go to their deceptive tactics of bait and switch by saying, well, which God are we talking about?
Yeah, you try to help them though,
No,
and
I'm
I,
not invoking a specific God. I'm pointing out that the atheist in that type of conversation holds that there are no gods whatsoever. So, how did you determine there are no gods? And to sit there and say in response, well, which God are we talking about, is a deceptive maneuver to
um,
obfuscate that they don't want to defend their universal declaration that there are no gods.
yeah, it's easy. Just say I don't believe in God. Don't play this like. And I like how you're patient and you try it. It must be hard, and you clarify and you go over, and it's like, but they just want to just walk all over you, and it's just like, and
No, I would
uh-huh.
call it they want to troll.
Oh, okay.
Like, I was in a room yesterday controlled by atheists, and when I started to interact with an atheist and I asked him a direct, clear question, the question I asked him was, he started giving me the usual spiel about atheism being, I'm unconvinced, there's no evidence for God. He was trying to represent his atheism as that it's just that he's in a state of being unconvinced. So, what I was attempting to do was clarify that his real position
Mm-hmm.
is the denial of God
Mm-hmm.
by virtue of the fact of what his disposition toward facts were. So I said to him, when you do invoke facts, do you positively reference the necessity of God, either explicitly or implicitly? Simple question. When you invoke facts, do you reference the necessity of God either explicitly or implicitly? It's a very simple question. Either
And you
is
made it
yes, I
clear,
do
Darth.
positively reference the necessity of God, or no, I don't positively reference the necessity of God. But did that answer come out of his mouth? No, he attempted
Hmm.
to evade and answer a question I didn't ask.
And I like how um you're honest, Darth. And these people, when you dialogue and have conversation, they will find ways to be kind of deceptive in a way. I'm like,
Really, I'm shocked.
uh,
Yeah,
uh,
they are.
it is something, Darth. They
You know,
doing
it's
things
not
like
like
that.
it's funny. These same people who will
Uh,
condemn me and say that I mute and kick people simply and merely because they don't agree, which is I lie, right?
no,
These same
yeah.
people will proverbially pat Matt de la Bloviator on the back, who does exactly what they accuse me of.
Uh, yeah, you just
So,
challenge
so
them, and then I.
do we have any atheists who have testicular fortitude who will come up, raise your hand, represent your atheism without resorting to deception? Okay.
And Darth, can I say something really quick? You are the very few people I've seen that actually will challenge them, hold them to the feet, to the fire, to what they say, and be accountable. And that's because I try to do the same thing. Like I don't like to be deceived
Well,
and try. Like I, like,
then they'll just look. Look, what they do is they have various tactics of
oh,
trolling, of
okay.
deceiving, of evading, of being disruptive. Look, last night, remember we mentioned the
Oh,
Praise I Am
praise the Lord.
channel that I
Yeah.
appeared on.
Oh,
Praise I Am was critiquing a video of Floyd FP, who's a foaming at the mouth, rabid atheist. Okay, somebody who hates Christianity. Well,
oh,
Floyd and I have run in together and butted heads on a number of occasions. And I pointed out that Floyd's go-to method of operation is simply to become rude and obnoxious and unruly in order either to run the clock out or stalemate it. Well, when he was invited in the live stream while he was in the text jet to come on, and that Praise AM said, listen, I'll strictly moderate the both of you, and you can discuss your differences. Floyd refused to come on, right? And saying, well, Darth, it does not grant intellectual
oh.
charity, whatever garbage that means. Okay. Now, to show that this was a bunch of hot garbage, I said to Praise Him, just play the last recorded interaction between atheist Floyd, FP, and myself. And when he played it, you could clearly see Floyd, FP, was being over the top, obnoxious, rude, and just being disruptive so as to run the clock out, so as to not honestly and transparently answer my questions. And when he was told by the moderator that the both of us would be strictly
No,
moderate,
he did
he
not do
lies and
that.
goes, no, I'm not going to talk with Darth because he's not offering intellectual charity. If you go back to every recorded instance between Floyd and myself, this is the man who doesn't operate according to the principle of charity, who's quite rude and obnoxious. And of course, the recordings of me dealing with him are quite well known in people in these circles, because I became quite angry and indicative and told him off for his extreme bad verbal interaction. It wasn't because I disagree with him. It's because of his own bad conduct. And this guy has the balls to tell me I'm not operating under intellectual charity. This is why
No,
I write titles in rooms. Are there any
no, it's
atheists who
true.
don't lie? Yeah.
It's true, Dart, because when are you gonna encounter someone really, no, really that are very intellectual? Like I don't see it, and I look at philosophers back then and try to learn from them. I'm like seriously, it's so
Look, I
laughable that it's
talked
not even. Yeah.
I talked with philosopher Philippe Leon. Okay, he's a very cordial guy, highly intelligent. He's a PhD in philosophy. And when I said to him, "How is it that God doesn't exist?" Immediately he turns into agnostic, right? But if you go to his website that he had previously mentioned, it lists 99 or 100 separate articles by titles, literally 99, right?
Mm.
Each of which are a different defense of atheism, not agnosticism.
Mm.
Okay? So if even the professional atheist PhDs that I encounter resort to double talk, evasion, and deception, then we don't have any hope that the non-PhDs, if those with academic credentials resort to being deceptive and evasive, then we have little to no hope that the non-academics will be honest as well.
And you don't even respect them, Darth, because it's like the philosophers back then would be honest, like the ones like David Hume and all these other but these they just not honest or something. I don't know. It's like it's
Well, look, Lawrence Krauss said, who was a foaming at the mouth atheist, he said, we don't need God. We can explain everything through laws of nature. If you say we don't need God, that is the de facto equivalent of saying God doesn't exist. But when I challenged him in an AMA, how is it that God doesn't exist? He outright denied that he was categorically denying the existence of God, and then he
mm.
tried this bait and switch again from global to local atheism.
Oh, okay,
Same
yeah,
thing
okay.
that PZ
Gotta go
PZ
yeah.
Myers did the same thing. Okay, so people wonder, oh, does Darth have a chip on his shoulder? No, I don't have a chip on my shoulder. I just know that there's a pattern of behavior both in the atheists that I have been dealing with 10 years and for those that I observe interacting with theists, that there's this overwhelmingly method of operation of resorting to deception. Now, if
Yeah.
there's any atheist who disagrees with me, raise your hand, and you will not be overspoken while you speak when you defend that you as an atheist will not engage in deception. But they all do engage in deception, and they hold it as a method of operation to deploy when needed. That's why they won't come up on stage.
And another
Okay?
thing, Darth shows the intellect level where they're at when it's exposed and when you uncover it, mask it, it just shows. And
Yeah.
like me, I'm not gonna say,
And
oh, I'm
when
intellectual.
I
Yeah.
confront them and I expose their deception, they're shameless in denying their
Oh yeah.
deception when they know it's obvious to all. All these atheists, it's their dirty little secret, if you will.
I
They
have no
probably
doubt.
giggle to each other because they engage. Of course, they will play these games. Look, whenever an atheist, when you if you say to an atheist, "How is it there is no God?" and they say, "Well, which God?" They all know that that's a bait and switch tactic.
Yeah, and it's like I remember this again, like with you, like they'll say philosopher speak, and they'll say like, oh, modality was destroyed, but it's like he has no idea. It's kind of like it's just a way
No,
to
what they
just
want to
get out
go,
of
what they want,
nasty. Yeah.
what they want to do is they want to drag you into an area where they're fluent in certain nomenclature, okay,
Okay.
as an obfuscation, rather than just speak in plain English. They're purposely trying to
Yeah,
engage in double
I
talk.
know that.
Okay, look, years ago I read a book by a liberal Rutgers professor, and the book was called Doublespeak, and he said
Mm.
doublespeak need not entail outright deception. The actual lingo, vocabulary, and nomenclature can be true and accurate, but if it's obscure to the listener, then it qualifies as double talk. Okay? Now,
Mm.
it's double talk, especially or more likely if the person is intending for the real meaning of
Mm.
what he's trying to get across to be obscured. Okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Politicians do this, like for example, when they say, well, we just want to enact common sense gun legislation. This is a lie. This is a subterfuge. The Democrats in this country want to do what Justin Trudeau did. They want to eventually confiscate all guns, but they're hiding behind nomenclature and verbosity like, oh, we want to pass common sense gun legislation. It's
Yeah,
double talk.
that's just to mask like their real position. It's like with unbelievers. It's like once you rip it off or
Isn't it,
try to
isn't it
ignore
amazing?
it.
Isn't it amazing that I have such an extremely provocative title that the
Yeah.
atheists coming onto Clubhouse, for sure, they're seeing it in their Clubhouse feed. And we can't get any atheist to raise their hand and come up and defend that they will not resort or pledge that they will not resort to deception, evasion, or lying when questioned. We can't get one. What
Yeah,
does that
because
tell
you
you?
again, though. Yeah, because you hold them accountable. You challenge. You hold their feet to fire. You don't. You're not like one of these where they just like, oh yeah, I'll just no. It's like, and I'm more the same way too. It's like that's why it doesn't. It's not gonna work. They think it'll work with try to do that, but with like that's the thing. It's not gonna and exactly, Dart. It's like, and I'm always learning from you, Dart. What I don't
Look,
understand, I ask you
when I
questions. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
when I questioned PZ Myers, when he was failing miserably when I was questioning him,
Mm,
he was getting very frustrated because you see, I wasn't a sympathetic questioner, right?
mm,
And I was asking him a question that required precision for an answer instead of these vagaries or equivocations. And this is why he got pissed because he can't always they can't always depending on the kind of question you ask, they can't
yeah,
always deploy their atheist cliches. And so this is why he did no longer wanted to continue interacting with me. It wasn't because I was being rude or obnoxious. It's because the line of questioning exposed his deception. And the same goes for people like the philosopher.
Leo.
What was it? What was his name? It was I call him the Doctor Professor. It'll come to me. I'm having a Joe Biden moment. He has long hair. He has long hair. He's either English or Australian. What was his name?
I don't
I
know.
think it's Stephen Law, the
Mm.
Doctor Professor Stephen Law. When I started questioning him the same way, he became very sleazy and indignant, and tried to impugn me rather than simply answer the damn question about your own belief system.
Yeah, why do you think you get two people and the other person is not deceptive to one and one is two because you challenge and you hold them and that's the thing I've noticed is like like if I do that challenge they're like oh I don't want to talk to you I don't want like they just don't want like but they're being challenged and not like that's the thing it's like some people they
Well,
just
sometimes these atheists think that they have. Sometimes these atheists think that they have the powers of Obi-Wan Kenobi by making a statement like, "These are not the droids you're looking for." If you
ah,
catch my drift, okay? Because remember in Star Wars, he used
I never
his force powers to manipulate to obfuscate their line of questioning. And these are not the droids you're looking for. Okay, and this is what these atheists try to do. They try to bamboozle you with these obfuscatory responses that are not really sincere answers to the questions that are being put to them.
yeah, like and talking about on Praise I Am, I saw you on that channel where Frank. I was hoping for a good like good intellectual conversation, but it just shows he doesn't really know much. It's just
Yeah.
sad to see that stuff, and I don't even know a lot. I'm still learning all this stuff, so he couldn't put
Look,
up like
listen. I'm
this stuff.
still learning. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll be learning till the day I die. Okay, we're all on a learning process. But I'll tell you what I have learned is that every atheist that I have dealt with rare exceptions, engages in deceptive responses from one degree or another. That doesn't mean that most of them are deceptive to the same degree.
hmm
But what they have in common for the vast majority of them is that they do engage in deceptive responses.
Hmm. It's rare to find those when you talk to those. It's rare. Like I can't even like. Oh wow, it's yeah, it's.
This is why, as the days go on and the years go on, there are fewer of them who want to interact. And they'll just claim, well, Darth is dishonest, Darth is abusive. Hey, listen, if you don't act like a jerk, then you're not going to be indignant. Look, Josh and I had a very cordial and vigorous disagreement over the finer
Oh,
points of God's sovereignty. I didn't get mad at him. He was constantly, in a very intelligent and a cordial, non deceitful manner, disagreeing and challenging much of certain things that I was saying. There's
and
no
I
point in
like
me
how you,
getting, yeah,
yeah, because we're not arguing over about. I know how you put it, Dutch, because we're not over arguing about the Bible is not true. We're arguing about like maybe the interpret, like you said, the hermeneutics. See, it, and I was like, yeah, it's like the human, it's the human. Damn it, I'm trying
I mean, just
hermeneutics.
imagine, listen to this. Just
This
imagine all of the unbelievers and atheists who have come across the title in their clubhouse feed and who don't come in. I mean, if I saw a title to a room that are there any theists who do not lie? And as long as the room is not being operated on somebody that I've dealt with before who's an absolute troll, right? I'll go in there and I'll say,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a theist who doesn't lie. What would you like to hit me with? So why don't we have any atheist parachuting in here uh, defending the opposite of the room title? Because you know what? They know that atheists lie.
And double talk, like you said, double talk. That's another thing. It just brought to my mind. Double talk, double talk. They can't stand on a position or stay put, and it's like. And I remember Greg Bonson had a debate with who was it? Gordon Stein or George Smith, one of those, and then like they just couldn't. It's just double talking. Just couldn't pick a position. Just couldn't stay. Like, and I like how jokingly like Bonson would just say, "Oh, just stay right there, so I could like, you know, like shoot you." Like it's like jokingly, of course it's jokingly, but it's like it just shows that they don't double talk, and it's just yeah, Darth.
Yeah, they'll say, I'm an atheist, right? They all know what the prevailing use of the word atheism in Western English speaking world is, that it means the
In the standard.
disbelief and denial of all gods, but then they'll turn around and they will claim to be an atheist. They know what the standard definition is, but then they will whip out a very problematic non-standard definition, which is indifferentiable from somebody saying I'm a non-theist. Okay, so if
Yeah.
somebody claims that they're a non-theist, well, what does that convey to me when they call themselves that? Does that mean that they are denying the existence of God, or that they're simply claiming that they're suspending any belief as to God's existence or non-existence?
Yes. Yeah, because it's not informative. And I read from the Plato Stanford EDU. It's like Plato. It's like I know the standard definition of atheism, and then now it's like I don't know the word they use, but it's like you do it with agnosticism where you can't differentiate, and it's like
Yeah.
and I like how you just call it out and just point it out and
Well, if
it's-
the way that they communicate the meaning of atheism is, for all intents and purposes, indifferentiable from
oh
agnosticism, then why bother calling yourself an atheist? Then
exactly I want
if atheism is simply mere the absence of positive belief in God,
yeah
but that does not constitute the denial of God, then is there a single word in the English language which designates those who deny all gods? I mean, I've actually asked atheists, is there a single word in the English language which designates somebody who denies all gods? And I've actually had atheists say, no, there isn't such a word. And it's just
what.
like, put push away the bong, stop smoking your pot, call 911, tell them that you need help.
Yeah, it's like now you want to become like um you now want to make you like yourself more like how should I say uh more idiotic, now, like it's not like
Yeah,
oh I don't know one, but now it's like you're actually being purposely being idiotic now. It's so
yeah.
the mind. I just don't get the thinking of these people, man. I just don't get. I just
Yep.
and I would even say maybe they have mental. Like I don't want to say that because it might say those two actually that do actually have that issue, but it's just like I just, I'm maybe I like to be figure stuff out. They're thinking why they think that stuff. But I, I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, I've been flat